So how do you know what price to charge as you're getting out of the gate? You've kind of maybe got some revenue going. How do you discover the optimal price, as a startup? And so what I would say here, if we talk about pricing strategy, and there's really two ways to look at this. One would be, are we trying to maximize volume in terms of the sheer number of customers, or are we trying to maximize revenue? Here I'm going to focus on max revenue. And why? Well, because when you're a bootstrapper, that's what really matters, is getting money in the door. Maybe if you have a long runway because you've raised a ton of money, you can focus on other goals. But if we're being practical about it, you're maximizing revenue. And so I'll show you a list of prices. This is a list of prices that we actually charged at my last startup. And this was for the same product, meaning this was a single seat license of SaaS software, which did, which helped financial advisors with risk management, portfolio stress testing specifically. So $30 a month, all the way up to $300 a month. And if you ask the question, which price point sold the fastest? So we started here at 30 when we were going out in our beta, and we started steadily increasing the prices. And we actually found that $100 a month was what I'll say volume maximizing. So we were selling the fastest in terms of volume growth at $100. But we decided that this was not our goal. Our goal was to maximize our revenue because that was all we had. We were fully bootstrapped. So we needed to move up, or we wanted to test that. So we continued to move up. And while we found that sales were slowing, so it was not as easy to close a customer, we found that the trade-off was still in our favor all the way up to here. And so this was revenue maximizing. And so if you look at the difference, what we found in concrete terms was that it was probably twice as hard to sell here than it was up here. But if you look at the math, let's say you're selling twice as many, at $100 a month, so you put a 2x on that, and that's the equivalent of selling at $200 a month. But here we are, we've just closed one customer and we're getting $300 a month. So 1.5 times more revenue than if we stayed at the lower level. Now, maybe there are some arguments for staying at that level. Obviously, growing a broader customer base does help from a marketing and feedback word of mouth perspective. But again, strictly speaking, looking to maximize revenue, we found that this did the job much better than staying at a lower price point. And that, again, that's an important consideration. What are you maximizing? Are you trying to maximize volume of sales? Or are you really trying to maximize revenue, which is really what drives profit, cash flow, and the ability to grow? And so you may find that at a higher price point than you expect. The other thing to keep in mind is that it's good to start low. So you start low on pricing. And why do you start low? Because you can always go up. Your early customers, if you start higher and then you start cutting prices, well, then you got to cut prices for your early customers. And that sucks for you because your revenue is now going down. But if you start low, this actually feels good to your earlier customers. Like, oh yeah, we got such a great deal. And so they feel more locked in. And you can keep on raising prices until you start to feel where these inflection points are, as opposed to trying the opposite approach. So start low, grow yourself to where you find your revenue max is, and then that's where you stay as you move forward.